weather. It governs our world, bringing life, death, and destruction.
God damn it, go back.
We're fine.
Oh my God! It's drowning!
Wow. World's deadliest weather is back. Bigger and badder. This time we include deadly natural disasters.
One of the most terrifying moments of my life.
Featuring earth-shattering quakes.
Yo ahí vi pasar toda mi vida. Pero yo pensé que ya no la iba a lograr.
I saw an entire building collapse.
It was like something out of a movie.
And volcanoes.
It looks like all of my wildest dreams.
Using people's extraordinary self-shot footage.
We're gonna die, dude! We gotta get out of here! Mason, get away from the windows now!
And their death-defying stories.
I remember instantly thinking, I just watched her die.
I had to turn on my inner stunt driver and just get out of there quick.
I thought I was gonna burn alive.
We go eyeball to eyeball with Mother Nature.
It's crazy! It's crazy! Come on!
And witness up close
Get on there!
the all-consuming power of the elements.
The mountain was coming to get us.
Flash right there! This place is just hell.
It was just horrific.
I had never in my life experienced anything like that.
Everybody take cover!
Coming up in this episode.
Oh my God!
A lethal mudslide swamps a small Californian community.
Close the door!
There's nothing that I have seen ever like the devastation that happened to Montecito.
This is literally as high as the kitchen counters.
Warehouse workers are sent spinning by a ferocious tornado.
First thing that comes to mind is death. It ripped a building apart.
And we show the world's first sea rescue by a drone.
To see it play out so well in a real life situation where 2 lives were at risk, it was just awesome.
"2017 will always be burned into California's memory as a year of cataclysmic natural disasters. A heat wave shattered all-time high records. Then winds up to 80 miles per hour sparked a series of huge, devastating wildfires, costing 44 lives and $18 billion.
Oh my gosh.
They were on such a massive scale, it took the emergency services, including first responders Lee Chapman and Randy Gilbert, to breaking point.
We had the state's largest wildland fire. The aviation unit was flying multiple aircraft on that fire for 16 days. The fire moved at a rate of spread that I have never seen before, and it burned so quickly and so hot, I've never seen that with my own eyes.
No sooner had California said a heartfelt goodbye to the horrors of 2017 than the legacy of those wildfires began to threaten the coastal community, Montecito.
Montecito was at risk because of the fires that took away all of the root system in those hills. The only thing holding it there was the rocks and the mud. And then when the rains came, it rained very hard for a short period of time. And that caused all of that mud to move. And when that mud started moving, everything that the mud was holding, the rocks and all of the other debris in its way, moved as well.
With the danger of deadly mudslides ever present, Montecito resident Marco Farrell, who lived with his elderly parents, was on constant alert.
I think because we had gone 2 weeks plus of evacuations 2 weeks prior to this event, I think we, as a community, were experiencing evacuation fatigue. It was terrifying knowing all of the rocks and mud and tree trunks that were stored in the hills above us. There was a monster in the hills that was just laying in wait, and it would take rain to wake him up. I had been sandbagging for 3 days. I was exhausted. I had done everything that I could do. Took about a 45-minute nap and was awoken to the hardest driving rain I've ever experienced. All of a sudden, really, really far away, I heard a very loud but distant, low rumble. And it was just a whoa. And I immediately knew what was happening. The mountain was coming to get us.
Ventura 29201, there is a very active mudslide coming down Olive Mill towards the 101 right now.
29 Edward 6, large boulders, mud, and rocks.
And I did see a police car speeding down the street.
Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, go, go!
Remember looking into the sheriff's eyes, and what he reflected back was terror. I turned and I started yelling and screaming.
Turn around, the flash flood's right there! The flash flood's right there! Get out of here, go!
It was getting louder and louder. It sounded like a machine just grinding, the most violent grinding of rocks. A terrifying noise. And you hear people talk about tornadoes and other events. The freight train, it was louder. I mean, it was just undescribable.
Oh my God, Mom! Here comes the flash flood.
What I wasn't expecting was just the sheer volume and violence that these huge logs and boulders and mud had created. It was the most violent thing that I've ever experienced. I ran into my house.
Close the door!
I really thought we were all gonna die. I knew I had seconds to prepare.
Get ready to go out. Wake Dad up! Wake up!
I checked the front door, made sure it was well closed, and I opened up the back door, which ended up being a godsend. And then all of a sudden, slam, the kitchen door slammed open, and this 3 foot, almost 4 foot torrent of mud poured into the kitchen.
Later, trapped, Marco and his elderly parents are helpless as their home rapidly fills with mud and boulders.
This is literally as high as the kitchen counters. There's nothing I can do. I'm sorry, you guys.
And in a nearby community, a man and his girlfriend are taken on a terrifying ride.
And had I not gained control of the vehicle, I'm not really sure if I'd be here today, me or my girl, so.
As we've seen, mudslides are deadly, terrifying, and can strike out of nowhere. Whereas landslides are falls of loose rock and debris, mudslides are saturated soil that flow down mountain channels. In the pretty alpine village of Bondo, Switzerland, everything appears normal. But earlier freak summer downpours have triggered a huge 100-foot wide slide. Nothing can resist its overwhelming force. Even this timber factory is sucked up in a slow-moving conveyor belt of destruction. Mudslides can travel at any speed up to 35 miles per hour. Even the sluggish one in Dezhou, China, is slowly demolishing this village. The reinforced concrete buildings no match to tons of mud, rocks, trees, and gravity. Staying in China, the heavily saturated hillside suddenly gives way, right on these motorists. Fortunately for this carload of people, there were no giant boulders, or else they would have become entombed in their vehicle. Dazed and disorientated, they all escaped their battered car unharmed. But luckiest of all was the pedestrian, who missed being wiped out by seconds. Of course, it's not just humans who fall prey to the sinister mudslide. In coastal Chile, torrential rain has sparked a gigantic slide. Caught up in it is this dog, clinging on to a mound of floating debris. With an angry ocean beckoning, it must find an escape route fast, or risk being swept away. Thankfully, it scampers home in the nick of time. In the Crimea, at first glance, the weather looks sunny and benign. But moments earlier, rainfall had triggered a violent mudslide, turning this mountain pass into a mass automobile graveyard. With rows of cars like fallen dominoes, it shows if Mother Nature wants to play games with us, there's only one winner. October the 23rd, 2017. In Spartanburg, South Carolina, it was another typical Monday morning for Kyle Grote, managing a textile warehouse.
I handle everything from sales to manufacturing. The safety and the well-being of my staff is one of my main responsibilities. I look at my phone every day to see the weather. I knew it was supposed to rain all day, and other than just that, no, I had no idea anything was going to be bad at all.
But unknown to Kyle, the tropical storm Nate was passing by and sprouting tornadoes.
The wind and everything starts to pick up and swirl. The warehouse guys were at shift change is when this started to happen. So you had guys coming in and you had guys leaving. When the tornado first hit and my ears popped as if you're landing on a plane, and I couldn't hear anything. It was very fast. It was terrifying because there was nothing I could do. The windows blew out. It hit both sides of our building and missed some of the middle. So you can't even decide, what side's safe or what side isn't safe. The main walls in the shipping and receiving completely blew inward, where there were people standing. First thing that comes to mind is death. It picked up a 10,000-pound forklift and chucked it off to the side like it was no big deal. The water hitting you because the roof is gone, so it's raining in the office. It ripped a building apart.
Kyle's warehouse had been smashed head-on by the biggest of Nate's twisters. Although on the lower end of the tornado scale, it was still generating winds up to 120 miles per hour, and stealthy enough to weather bomb student Jesse Sparveri, who was catnapping in his car.
I saw some like leaves and they started spinning. Then all of a sudden I saw a strike of lightning. It struck like right next to the car. That's when I started panicking. I thought I was gonna die because like the car was shaking. I laid down and kind of wedged myself in between the front seat and the back seat. Everything was shaking. I saw like a whole bunch of metal debris flying by the windows. I had no idea if the car was actually in the air. It felt like it was going on and on and on. But like in reality, it probably lasted like 30 seconds. It was crazy. I honestly did not think I was gonna get out of that. So I got out of the car afterwards and all the windows were busted. The only window that wasn't busted was the one that my head was closest to. A good size piece of wood came through and it like stabbed right into the like driver's side. If I was sitting in the front seat, like that would have easily impaled me. There was a tree down like directly next to me.
This is insane, oh my God.
I looked across the road and I saw buildings on fire. There was a truck and those flipped over. We always hear the stories about the different hurricanes, but like when you're actually there, like and you're going through it at that time, it's insane.
Jesse escaped the mayhem remarkably lightly. The Spartanburg tornado triggered 20 vehicle collisions, flattened 10 buildings, and inflicted millions of dollars of commercial damage. Still counting the cost to his ruined textile business is Kyle.
We put all of ourselves into the building, the whole company and everybody that worked there, from sales to the employees. Everybody was part of getting it to the way we wanted it. And it just gone, just disappeared. And to have it taken, yeah, it's a little rough.
One thing that's guaranteed about Mother Nature is she's never predictable. So on World's Deadliest Weather, we're about to delve into the Dali and get surreal. When it rains hard in Wuhan, China, it obviously triggers some truly bizarre behavior. So don't be surprised if you're heading downtown to see a man taking his fish for a walk or paddle. Whatever way you look at it, it's decidedly fishy. Staying with bizarre animal behavior, these scientists working for the Australian Antarctic Division were merrily going about their work when out of the deep blue water, a penguin pays them a visit.
What's going on here, he says?
Not a lot as it happens, so Mr. Penguin plops back in. Topping the lot when it comes to animal oddness is this truly weird scene in icy China. Cows jumping over the moon is a pretty wacky concept. But skating heifers, that's utterly ridiculous. Put animals and humans together, and it gets stranger still. When an ice storm hits an Amish neighborhood in Indiana, USA, the horse and cart boy racers love to show off their drifting skills. Even with 1 horsepower, this guy's able to do some seriously impressive donuts. Finally, in West Suffield, Connecticut, this scene captured after a violent storm has left us permanently scratching our heads.
So we're in a storm right now, and this car literally just drove up this, I don't even know what happened.
There's no rhyme or reason why this car is suspended mid-air, defying gravity.
This is what's happening right now. In Suffield, on Mountain Road.
It's Mother Nature gone nuts. Still to come. A novice kayaker gets swallowed up in a wall of white water.
I didn't know what was going on. There's absolutely no fighting that power.
And we see for the first time ever a drone rescuing 2 drowning teenagers.
We're able to locate the swimmers, and pretty much they were 2 dots. These guys were in trouble, they were quite far out.
Earlier, we saw how devastating wildfires followed by torrential rain triggered a lethal, fast-moving mudslide in the small coastal community of Montecito.
The flash flood's right there! Get out of here, go!
Caught in its crosshairs was resident Marco Farrell and his elderly parents.
Here comes the flash flood.
When a tsunami of mud and rock burst into their house.
You guys stay there.
It wasn't like water that just splashes. It was a thick, syrupy, just...
God, I pray for everyone here. This is literally as high as the kitchen counters. There's nothing I could do. I'm sorry, you guys. Everyone stay calm.
I know that panic is the #1 killer in these natural disasters. You have to remain calm because it can save your life.
We literally have a torrent of mud going through the house.
I thought we would be fine, and we weren't. And I thought I had prepared enough, and I hadn't. There was no way to prepare for the sheer scale and violence of this disaster.
It's as tall outside as it is inside.
At about 6 in the morning, I was able to go into the kitchen. Mud was still flowing into the house, but I was able to see that the flow on the street had reduced to just water, and it seemed to be just a few inches high. As soon as we saw the first responders coming around the corner, we knew we were saved.
As Marco breathed a massive sigh of relief that the worst was over, 85 miles away, on the outskirts of Los Angeles, another mudslide was tearing towards Burbank. Straight for startled resident Dayon Franklin and his partner.
I was next to my girlfriend and I said, hey, we have to get up and we have to go. And when I looked outside, there was a torrent of water, like a river, in the middle of the street. I'd never seen that before. It was like a movie. And I went outside, we got everything in the car. I was like, hey, we gotta go, go, go.
These Cali mudslides ain't no joke.
And you could see the water coming. It was like, there was no time to think.
Before he could escape, the mudslide picked up Dayon's car and hurtled it downhill.
I had to turn on my inner stunt driver and just get out of there quick. I think at the highest point I was going about 40 miles an hour. From losing control to regaining control, you're looking at about a minute and a half. It was frightening. The car held up exceptionally well. To get out the car, to see there was no damage was absolutely shocking to me. Look how high the water came up. Barely made it out. And had I not gained control of the vehicle, I'm not really sure if I'd be here today, me or my girl, so.
Once the mudslide carnage was over, the Santa Barbara County Sheriff described the scenes as a World War I battlefield. Sifting through for survivors in this apocalyptic wasteland were first responders Lee Chapman and Randy Gilbert.
When I got the call, I came in and we grabbed all our gear, and we knew that there was active rescues right now that were going on, that they needed people to get out of there. Really didn't know what to expect. I knew that there was going to be mud, I knew there was people that needed to be rescued, but I had no idea the extreme nature of the mudslide till we got overhead. It's what we didn't see that was a little bit troubling. Streets, highways, landmarks were no longer there. It was a river of mud that had just flown down from the mountainside through these houses and out towards the Pacific Ocean.
It moved with so much power and strength and speed that it took vehicles and washed them into the ocean.
Hours after the mudslides, people were still trapped in their cars. And Lee and Randy were called to rescue a guy stuck in a pool of deep mud on what used to be the 101 freeway.
We got over ahead of the silver sedan. Once I got down to the vehicle, I broke the window out. There was somebody in there. He was just thankful that we were there, and he desperately wanted to get out of that vehicle. This was also done on the top of somebody's mattress that had washed away, and we were kind of floating on water and mud, so we had a very uneasy ground. I did have to move a little bit more purposefully and just make sure that we had a really good footing.
The whole thing probably in total took less than 10 minutes. And you're just nervous because you don't want your friend and your coworker you don't want anything bad to happen to him. There's nothing that I have seen ever like the devastation that happened to Montecito.
I won't ever forget something that you can't forget.
Tragically, 21 people lost their lives and hundreds of homes were destroyed in the Californian mudslides. In the once charming town of Montecito, Marco Farrell was left shell-shocked by his community in ruins.
There are families that have been ripped apart. There are people who are still missing.
Hello? Anybody home? Completely caved in back here, man.
We know 5 of the people that have passed away.
Is the door unlocked? Did you hear anybody inside? Let's go to the next one. Hopefully they're alive.
Entire properties are gone. It absolutely could have been us. Our house was shifted, the walls have been pushed. It would not have taken much more force to have a boulder fly through the wall, a tree trunk to bash through. Still kind of feels like a really bad dream. I don't think that'll ever go away.
In the beautiful Witfontein Nature Reserve in South Africa, the Caimans River has a section of rapids and waterfalls. It's a favorite spot for kayakers willing to test their mettle. And on the 9th of January 2014, Franz Fury did just that, but got way more than he bargained for.
I'm a much keener kayaker in my head than I think I am physically capable of. It's a fairly safe place to go for beginners, so it's a good place to train. It was my brother and I, and 2 friends. I was very excited and very scared at the same time. Normally the river is very low. It's not really a river, it's just a little stream. The only way that it's possible to really go down these rivers is after a big rain session. It turns it into waterfalls, which is what we were there for.
The big danger with tackling this challenge in and around heavy downpours is these can manifest themselves into flash floods. But after inspecting the river, Franz's brother Eugene and a friend took the plunge, although the raging torrent was pushing them to the limit.
My brother, on the last waterfall, he capsized. As he got down at the bottom, he Eskimo rolled and he was back up. Our friend Dean went next. He went over the first waterfall and capsized and he bailed. So he got out and then it was my turn. I did opt to go in last because I wanted to see what the other people did and how they went for it. So I went over the first waterfall. The current pulled me onto the rock. So I went down the waterfall upside down. But I wanted to Eskimo roll. I tried 2-3 times. I couldn't do it because there's so much air in the water from the waterfall. It froths everything up. So there's no buoyancy in that water whatsoever. I didn't want to go down the second and third one upside down. So I bailed. What also happens, especially after a lot of rain, is the foam floats on the water. It's deadly because you can't breathe in it. So I held onto the boat and I grabbed onto the side. And that's when the flash flood happened. Within seconds, the water just came down. Everything just went pitch black, dark. The water there, it shakes you like this the whole time. So it shakes all the air, everything that you can hold, it shakes out. And that was unexpected. I went over the first waterfall and I suddenly became weightless. You don't know what your orientation is. Everywhere else you hear this thunder the whole time. If you're in the waterfall, it's quiet because there's no resistance. Everything's just quiet. And then suddenly again. I was in the second pool for a couple of seconds and then I went over the large waterfall. Must have hit my head and I bit a hole very deep into my lip. I felt powerless completely. I mean, there's absolutely no fighting that power. When I got to the last waterfall and it didn't spit me out, I started panicking. I couldn't get out because of the turbulence in the water. The turbulence pushed me down.
While Franz was fighting for his life, his brother Eugene could only watch on, helplessly.
I ran down to go look for Franz. I couldn't see him at the bottom. And by this time, the river was raging flood. I looked at it and I was like, there's no way someone can go through there and not die. At that stage, I was starting to consider the fact that I'd be looking for a body and not my brother.
The only reason I got out is because I then went down instead of trying to get up. I kicked through the currents and I got out. If I had to be there for 10 seconds longer, I don't know if I would have made it. I grabbed onto a boulder that's in the water and I crawled up onto it and I sat on it. I had no energy left.
Give me a second. I lost my breath. The water's coming big time, eh?
The whole ordeal, it was just around a minute.
I really have no energy left.
This was the closest that I've been to death. I think my brother had a worse experience than me. He didn't know that I got out safely, and he was panicking like a madman on the side. When I met up with him afterwards, he just broke up in tears and he started sobbing right over me.
I got really angry and really upset and really sad and really happy and all emotions in one.
Despite his harrowing ordeal and being seconds from drowning, Franz has no intention of hanging up his paddle.
The thing about whitewater kayaking is I think it is one of the most beautiful, pure sports out there. But you really need to know what you're doing before you get to certain places, because there's always a chance where you're not going to make it. I just didn't really realize what that meant until I went through that. I haven't experienced a flash flood like that ever. I've never seen one. And mostly people who are in them don't live to tell the tales. Nature does provide us with a lot of experiences, But I do think we should never completely forget who's in control here.
As we've seen, rapids is water at its most furious. And if you don't pay it proper respect, it can be deadly. Rapids are graded from a docile 1 to a severe 6, where chances of survival are slim to none. In Colorado, a whitewater kayaking hotspot in the US, the frothing river is definitely on the upper end of the scale. With water gushing up to 30 miles per hour, a fiberglass canoe has no chance if it hits a submerged rock. As this guy discovers, as his was blown in half.
Literally exploded. I've never seen that happen before. Did that boat explode? Swim right, swim right. Go, grab paddle. Thanks.
Thankfully, he scrambles to safety, but now faces a long, soggy, and miserable walk home.
Oh my God!
The rubber river raft was invented in the 1840s by Lieutenant John Fremont to survey the Rocky Mountains. His primitive prototype was 4 rubber cloth tubes. Fast forward over 100 years, and this guy has taken a giant step, or should I say several steps forward. Talk about traveling in comfort. No more crashing rapids as you have 6 rubber rafts to cushion any blows. And up high, the panoramic views are sensational. Rubber-dubba-doo. As any self-respecting hippie would say, shortcuts are a terrible idea. And this man in Canada is about to find out the hard and painful way. A bruising blow and dousing in cold water should hopefully knock some sense into him. For some bizarre reason, with a whole forest to choose from, this woman selects an old log to practice yoga. Well, Yoda here would warn her she's likely to feel the force of the raging rapids below. Wanting to be at one with nature, she gets much more than she bargained for. Going from performing the crab to swimming with them. The only injury was to her pride. A fall of a quantum different magnitude is the one this kayaker is psyching himself up for.
Okay.
He's about to launch off a terrifying 128-foot waterfall called Big Banana Falls, named presumably because you would have to be bananas to attempt it. Well, he proves he's a real head case with this death-defying drop. Whatever way you look at this, it's insane. And if you're getting any ideas, best leave it to the professionals. From deliveries to geographical mapping, military applications, and border surveillance, drones are set to revolutionize our world. And now, they can even save lives. As Australian lifeguards Jai Sheridan and Jacob McGoldrick experienced firsthand. They operate on the stunning, yet treacherous, 7 Mile Beach in Lennox Head, New South Wales.
It's called 7 Mile Beach because it's actually 7 miles across, so it is quite a long stretch of coast that we have to patrol. Lennox Head's quite open, so we get a lot of the swell, a lot of the wind. tourists and visitors, it is quite dangerous.
Even at the best of times, when you have strong conditions in the ocean, it can be quite hard to get back in for the most strongest swimmer once you're behind that first break.
Jake and I were lucky enough to be a part of a select few to start our training with drones that carry the capability to rescue and send out supplies. The drone can actually go 4,000 metres up and 5 kilometres across. It can get up to about 60 to 80 kilometres per hour.
On the 17th of January 2018, Jai and Jacob were scrambled to put their brand new drone into practice and rescue 2 teenage swimmers on the verge of drowning.
It was a typical day for the weather that we had this time of the year. We had quite rough surf, I think up to 4 metres around the coastlines. We chose to close the beach because it was just too dangerous.
Despite the beaches being closed, the boys were behind the first break, so they were approximately 100 metres offshore. On that day, as well as the big surf, we also had large tides. From the time that we were alerted to the situation, it was probably 2 or 3 minutes before we were able to get there with the rescue pod. And that was our second day flying the large drones, so it was quite new. We were lucky enough that we had been practicing the rescue drops the day before.
I sent the 2 of the lifeguards down there to assess the situation. Jai was getting prepared to go and do another training run for the flight, so he was actually getting ready to launch the UAV when the call came through.
We were able to launch it pretty quickly. So the drone has a camera on the bottom. We get a live feed directly, so we're able to see point of view from the drone. What I was seeing on the screen, we were able to locate the swimmers, and pretty much they were 2 dots. We were able to see that these guys were in trouble and they were quite far out. We were able to get it on top of them, and then we dropped to about 15 metres and we were able to drop the pod quite precisely. From time of takeoff to dropping the pod, it was approximately 70 seconds.
As the pod splashed down, it automatically inflated a buoyancy aid, allowing the boys to swim ashore under their own steam.
By the time they were washing into shore, the lifeguards were able to meet them on the beach and do their standard checks to see if they swallowed water, if they had any other injuries, and assist them in any other way in case they did need further medical assistance. But on this occasion, we were fortunate enough that the boys were okay.
This incredible rescue was the world's first by drone. The Australian government was so impressed, they have committed over $300,000 for further Eastern Australia trials. So don't be surprised if one day you see them at a beach near you.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to actually see it happen in a real life situation. Like, obviously we'd been doing training for this sort of thing, but to see it play out so well in a real life situation where 2 lives were at risk, it was just awesome to see them get back to shore safely.
As we've seen, when the elements are stirred up and angry, they can be deadly. But sometimes we are spared by the closest of margins. On a snowy Mount Baker, US, the fun crowd are out in force, watching the paragliders strut their stuff. But gusty winds is making life a bit tricky. And this girl, going out on a limb clad in just a bikini, is lucky to have them intact after this near miss. Staying in the snow. When they rally in the white stuff, it's best to leave a wide berth. Rule 1, never spectate on the outside of bends. And this shows why. After that butt-clenching scare, the cameraman may need to change his trousers. In neighboring Ukraine, a thunderstorm is rumbling in the town of Kharkov. As ever, the main threat is lightning, but as people scurry to escape the lashing rain, a particularly devious bolt sends this pile of masonry crashing down, missing this couple by millimeters. Over in Argentina, on the Paraná River, a catfish competition is in full swing, alongside the Goya Air Show. Fishing and flying, or should that be fly fishing, proves a volatile mix. As stormy skies create low-level turbulence, this plane is getting a bit close for comfort. But if you thought that was flying low, this one is plain crazy. In St. Petersburg in Florida, the weather looks pleasant enough. But big rollers can be lethal if you're buzzing at high speeds on a jet ski. The impact of this giant jump has knocked this guy out stone cold.
I got you, bro. I got you. I got you.
Incredibly, despite being face down for over 20 seconds, he hasn't swallowed any seawater.
He was knocked unconscious, floating down, under, face down. Yeah, he's got a bad laceration underneath his chin.
Where?
Just underneath your chin here. Lucky I was right there, dude. He'd drowned. He needs to get checked out by a paramedic, okay?
Although in his present befuddled state, I'm not sure I'd let him take the controls.
Oh my God!
In this episode, we've seen Mother Nature roar with all her might. We've seen how helpless we can be. We've seen her tear down, destroy, and laugh in our faces. And next time, there will be more, because deadly weather stops for no one.